everybody. Welcome to Amazing You Podcast and YouTube channels. And a big thank you to the audience for watching, listening, sharing, and subscribing. And this is the channel where stories of resilience, triumph, and unwavering hope come to life. And in each episode, we dive into the inspiring journey of individuals who have faced the toughest challenges heads on and emerged victorious. And our aim is to be a beacon of inspiration, offering a guiding light to those navigating through difficult times. And whether you are dealing with health challenges, professional setbacks, or personal struggles, this channel is dedicated to uplifting your spirit and showing you that even in the darkest moments, there is a path to hope and triumph. So join us as we share powerful stories that transcend adversity, reminding you that resilience is a force within us all. So be prepared to be inspired and find the strength to navigate life's challenges. I am your host. My name is Dr. Rani. I am a clinical hypnotherapist. I am also a Mars Venus life and relationship coach, tarot reader, astrologer, and life force compassion practitioner. And today, for the second time, I have the great honor to introduce you to my mentor and teacher, the amazing, the wonderful Dr. John Gray. Dr. John Gray is the author of the most well-known and trusted relationship book of all time, Men Are From Mars and Women Are From Venus. Today, his book is listed as one of the top 10 most influential books of the last quarter century. In hardcover, it was the #1 best-selling book of the 1990s. And Dr. John Gray's books are translated in approximately 45 languages in more than 100 countries and continues to be a bestseller. Dr. John Gray has written over 20 books, and his most recent book is Beyond Mars and Venus, Relationship Skills for Our Complex Modern World. His Mars and Venus book series has forever changed the way men and women view their relationships. Dr. John helps men and women better understand and respect their differences in both personal and professional relationships. And his approach combines specific communication techniques with healthy nutritional choices that create the brain and body chemistry for lasting health, happiness, and romance. His many books, blogs, and free online workshops at marsvenus.com provide practical insights to improve relationships at all stages of life and love. An advocate of health and optimal brain function, he also provides natural solutions for overcoming depression, anxiety, and stress to support increased energy, libido, hormonal balance, and better sleep. He has appeared repeatedly on Oprah as well as on the Dr. Oz show, Today, CBS, This Morning, Good Morning America, and others. And he has been profiled in Times, Forbes, USA Today, and People. He was also the subject of a 3-hour special hosted by Barbara Walters. So Dr. John Gray is the brand founder of the Mars Venus Coaching. Mars Venus Coaching Academy aims at improving the quality of life through our personal and professional and education, changing the world one relationship at a time by applying gender intelligence in your life. Very warm welcome, Dr. John, to Amazing You.
Rani, it's a real pleasure to be with you again. And thank you for the work that you do in spreading this wisdom to the people in England.
Thank you so much. Very grateful, John, for your time and for sharing your wisdom to me and to the audience today. And I have got a very interesting topic that I think would help the audience because a lot of people are either divorced or single and they don't know if they can find love again. So I would like you to share with us, to tell us more about it's never too late to find love again. How can people men and women find love again at this time?
Well, I know that you have a lot of wonderful people who come on your show who also
Yes.
tell their story. And I'll briefly tell my story and then we'll get into the amazing insights of men are from Mars, women are from Venus, gender intelligence. But in my
Absolutely.
own life, I was a monk for 9 years. And then when I came out into the world, I got married. This was, I was not interested in children. I was just getting my feet on the ground, and my wife didn't want to have children. And once I started making money, after I literally 3 years, I had a good income teaching classes on enlightened sexuality. Having been a monk, I was very interested in sex and studied it. And I realized in studying it, most men have no idea what to do for their wives. So it was a
Mm.
very important class for me to teach. And gradually, when you understand the differences in the bedroom, you realize that if you don't understand the differences outside the bedroom, quite often she's not interested in having sex. So that became the theme of my classes. My wife, however, didn't want to have children. I felt like that might have pushed her over the edge, and she ended up falling in love with another man. And I
Mm.
was devastated, that
My God.
discovered that she was having an affair and so forth. I couldn't teach my class anymore on relationships if my own relationship failed. And also, my heart was broken in my first serious relationship. So I started over. After 9 months, I was able to heal my heart. I teach people in my books and our coaches how to heal the heart so that I can move on. And then I was able to find my soulmate, Bonnie, who I was married to for 34 years. Now, Bonnie recently, 7 years ago, died of cancer,
Yeah.
which was a huge loss in my life. I felt like I wanted to die.
Mm.
Simple as that. She was like a limb, part of me gone. And I grieved. And after a couple of years, started dating and got married again. And I'm so happy. One of the things my current wife says is, well, do you love me more than Bonnie, or do you love Bonnie more than me? Women always ask these tricky questions, but it was true. I told her, look, in grieving the loss of my wife Bonnie, with our children, our
Mm.
grandchildren, no one can ever replace that. But in healing my heart, and this is what happens whenever we actually learn how to heal a broken heart, we come back stronger and I can love more than ever before. There was so much regret when your partner dies. You feel, oh, I wish I'd done this. I wish I'd done that. If only I'd known this. And so part of healing the heart is committing to learn the lessons of loss and
Yeah.
then apply them. So
Congratulations, I would like to say. Big congratulations for getting married again, for never losing hope, for believing in love. And
yeah,
I
yeah.
would love for you to share with us, how did you heal your heart? Yeah.
Well, let me just say the first thing for those who have broken up in a relationship or lost a loved one and you're single, it's more challenging for women than men, first of
Mm.
all. I mean,
Okay.
we can both do it, but if you look at statistics,
Yeah.
statistics show that after a divorce, a woman has a 9 months before 9 years, 9 years before
Wow.
she'll get married before again. Uh, and it may be that she doesn't ever. That's very
Mm.
common for women. And for men, it's 3 years they get married. Uh, Men need women more than women need men.
Okay.
That's a reality. It's a biological reality.
Mm.
We're all little girls when we're born. Men are not different from little baby girls until about 3 weeks. And then the Y chromosome, which girls don't have, activates 23 genes. And the
Mm.
function of those 23 genes is to override the many of the feminine genes that we started with. So we become separate from girls, and that many of the mechanisms that we have are the opposite of a female, and we have access to all those. And if society suppresses our masculinity, then we will become very confused sexually, which is happening in the world, uh,
Mm. Yes.
because the culture has to support masculinity to be stimulated. The genes have to be activated. The female genes have to be activated. So a girl growing up without a father all of her female genes don't get activated. Part of the female genes are to trust that you have support and you deserve it unconditionally. And what you see today is many, many women growing up without an absent father,
Yeah.
or they have a father that really the mother didn't trust and
Yes.
depend upon. So it's just today, typically, when a woman can't trust a man, they get a divorce, but it could be a girl growing up in a dysfunctional family where mom and dad weren't happy.
Yeah.
They don't have to be perfect, okay? Nobody's perfect. But you have to have an example of a man being respectful and loving toward your father.
Yeah.
And the same thing for a boy. You look at, I teach in the prisons as well, or I have, and none of them have fathers at home. When you don't have a father for a male, you're just lost unless you find someone comes along to help you learn how to be a man. You need role models, and without role models, if you get involved with a woman, you still have a drive to get involved with a woman, but you have no way to learn how to deal with and respect a woman. So you need a father who can respect a woman, then you can respect a woman and understand women. See, what happens is women have, and here let's get into the biology so people can understand, because
Yes.
so much confusion is going on. There's no gender intelligence in our culture now. It's been wiped out. I mean, the universities, unfortunately, have taken a wrong turn, that gender doesn't exist. It's just a choice. This is nonsense. This is biological. Any medical doctor knows that. You don't treat a woman the same way you treat a man.
Absolutely.
Same thing in psychology and marriage counseling. You don't treat a woman the way you treat a man. This is just the most common sense. But for whatever reasons that no need to be discussed here, ever since I started Men Are From Mars, the popularity of it was already our culture was moving in a direction of men and women are the same. And if you don't understand the differences, you always think something's wrong with your partner. If you don't understand the differences, you always think your partner should behave a certain way that you would behave. And we don't understand each other's needs, primary needs, because we're not the same. A woman has certainly different needs from a female doctor for women and a male doctor for men. This is just so obvious, and yet they have discounted it. So now what we're looking for, we look forward to, for women graduating from universities, half of them are expected to be at 50 years old to be unmarried and childless. That's a lonely life. This is where we're all heading now. This is completely predictable. In my own experience, you'll see women say, well, what do I need a man for? And they're not in touch with why they need a man. And particularly if you don't have a role model of what you can get from a man. You don't know what you don't know. The potential which exists in having a relationship, particularly if it's a divorce. Already, if it's a divorce, it's a sign that you don't know how to have a successful relationship. No harm to you, because either you always pick the wrong person, and that is possible, or you just don't know what it takes to make a relationship. And this is very common in my experience of teaching over 50 years. Women often think, without a doubt, let me say right away, women do so much more about the relationship typically than men do. Men, on the other hand, have they still want relationship and love. That's why they get involved so quick again.
Right.
They actually depend on women more than women depend on men. But a man, because we need women to activate those potential, those genes to get overridden by our Y chromosome. So, I can connect with love through a woman more than I could ever feel love alone. Women can feel love without a man.
Yes.
They can love their children. They can love the world. They can love their friends. They can love music. There's so many ways that women can feel love.
Yeah.
So it's an easy way to run away from the most challenging but most beneficial love, which is marriage and intimate relationships. And why am I able to say it's the most beneficial? It's just I read in some book. Well, no, it's my own experience, of course, but it's what you'll see is that biologically, if you're married, you will live longer and you will be healthier. This is proven with massive studies, statistics. So you want to be healthier, and you want to not have dementia. 1 out of 2 people who live to 80 will have dementia.
Mm-hmm.
And now we're talking about the risk of having dementia and heart attacks and cancer. All those risks dramatically go down if you're married.
Right.
A man and a woman marriage is what we're talking, the research there.
Yes.
And converse to other people that are not that. And then there's whole ranges of, on averages, who's going to be the next, who's going to be the next. But the reality is the healthiest people on the planet are married. And what's interesting as part of the reason for that, which I've researched and found, is that when a man, part of marriage is sex, right? It's what makes it unique. You share your income with someone and you only have sex with your partner. You don't spread your seed anywhere else. And it turns out that biologically, and I love talking about the biology of our differences, and this is the biology of marriage compared to being single or being in whatever type of relationship you're single. And when you make a commitment, a lifetime commitment with someone, a loving lifetime commitment, and you will live longer. We know that. And people will often say, well, that must be the happy couples. I said, no, that's all couples who stay married, live longer, and are healthier. Married couples have ups and downs of suffering, just like single people do.
Yes.
Some married people are thinking, if only I was single, I'd be happier. Married single people, if I just had love, I would be happier. But there's a reality to health that we can measure. This is measurable. Happiness isn't always so measurable, but health is very dramatically healthy, measurable. And what we see is that when couples have sex, if they're married, they make a different set of hormones than single people.
Okay.
Whether single people are not having sex or they are having sex. When a man has sex, for example, sex with himself, which is taboo. Unfortunately, the United Nations has now got a new sex education curriculum wanting to teach up beginning at 3rd grade to masturbate as part of loving yourself. It's not. Every culture throughout time has explained that it weakens a man's male hormones, and we know that to be the case. The average male today, because they do so much porn, 20 years old, has 20% lower testosterone. Wow. Testosterone is the male hormone. For a man, have confidence, motivation, aspiration, interest in romance, interest in women, all that. He needs to have testosterone levels that are 10 times higher than a woman. That's a biology. If a man doesn't have that high testosterone, he will be stressed, and he will have all the negative side effects that show up: depression, anxiety, procrastination, all these things. And as he gets older, lack of libido. All of these things are due to low testosterone in men, or at least directly associated with it, and heart attacks. When men have heart attacks, it's usually after they retire. Insurance companies give them 2 to 3 years, and the number one thing that causes testosterone to drop is being out of work. So when you decide you're just going to have fun, what happens is female hormones get produced. Now, female hormones, I'm just going to talk about one of the major ones. It's a bit more complicated. In this book, 3 chapters, Understanding Women's Hormones. It's more than we can talk about in a short session. But a female needs to be making at least 10 times more estrogen than a man. So what produces estrogen is relationship where you're depending on people for something of value to you. And when you end a relationship, a divorce, for example, you've just cut yourself off of a major source of estrogen. And there's an old saying, which is, when the child falls off the horse, pick them up and put them back on right away. Because mistrust is associated with fear. And if you let fear control your behavior, the fear only becomes stronger. Okay, you're giving the validity to the fear. So I suggest for women, particularly men will automatically do it in most cases, go through some grieving process, which you asked me to talk about. I will talk about. But go through the grieving process, and within a year, you should be back out dating. But it's a different kind of dating. You're not looking for the perfect person, because you're already going to be in a fight or flight state. When your brain, like, hey, I failed before, I got to be careful now. Let me be more careful now. And so if you were to buy a house, if you were to visit my house, you'd say, "Oh, what a beautiful home." But if you were to buy my house, you would go into, are there problems there? So your brain goes into a bias that you can't stop of looking at negativity, and that will sabotage the joy of dating. Dating is such a hassle for people because of this, they're looking for the right person as opposed to looking for companionship, even for an evening, which doesn't involve sex but involves communication. And particularly, if you read my books or you go to a Mars Venus coach, you'll learn what you did wrong in your previous marriage. And then you then apply those insights while you're dating. Those insights would, I always refer back to this as the manual now, Beyond Mars and Venus. If you were in a more traditional relationship where a man was the provider and you were a homemaker, I would refer you back to my classic book, Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus. And I would then, after reading either of those books, go into the Mars Venus on a date, because there's a huge amount of shifts you have to make in your behavior.
Yeah.
Too many for me to explore in just a short interview. But that is so important, is to get back on that horse, because if you don't, you fall down, get back up. If you don't get back up, it's the fear of failure that's going to keep you from getting up. And when your fears control you, you're giving them more legitimacy. So it's literally they're controlling you rather than you're the adult, and the child is the part of you is the fearful part. But when you read the books, you get like, oh, these are new things I can try, in the dating, for example. Even I call them biohacks. It will produce more estrogen if you're not looking for the right person. When you're looking for the right person, we're talking particularly for women here, you're making male hormones. You're on a search. You're on a quest. You're pursuing. You're interviewing. You're hiring. All that is business. You're in the business of finding the right person. Estrogen goes up. Stress goes down in women when their estrogen levels go up. And estrogen goes up when a woman is not on her male side so much, but she's on her female side, where the purpose of the dating situation is to have a good time.
Yeah.
To let a man provide something of fun, of meaningfulness, of support, of caring, of consideration. A man who's more interested in you than you're interested in him. The reason I say that is if you're interested right away in a man who really you don't even know, usually it's a bad sign. You should be interested but open to see, to test. And the test should be if I can just feel safe and comfortable on a date and apply my new insights in dating. The first one being, I'm not looking for the right person. The second one being is I'm going to not try to please this man, but give him the opportunity to please me.
Yes.
He'll say, here's another biohack for estrogen. You should be prepared when you're in the dating scene to know 3 things that you would like to do. So when a man says, well, we should get together sometime, you say, that sounds good. And then you just pause and he'll say, well, what would you like to do? And you can be immediately ready to say, well, here's 3 things I really like to do. And you can pick and let me know when you want to do it. Simple like that. You see, you give him the opportunity to provide something for you. You don't pay for the meal. You don't pay for anything. If a man can't afford the date, he's not the right man for you. These are just, the whole thing is to put yourself in a situation where you're not trying to people please or give to a man. You're giving him the opportunity to give to you. And then you're not obligated to do anything more because you've already given him. He gives to you, but you've given him. Because what do men need more than anything is the opportunity to feel appreciated. See, when men have, as they age, you see them hunching over, they lose their libido, they're grumpy, they get irritable. Old men kind of syndrome. That's the extreme I'm talking about there, but just to make the point, all that is due to low testosterone. Testosterone goes up when a man feels appreciated. So a man can't feel your appreciation unless he does something for you. You might think, oh, he's such a great man. That's admiration. That's a good thing. But he really needs to earn his way. And when you appreciate him, in a sense, it's now reciprocal because he's looking to be needed. You're looking for somebody who can provide something meaningful to you. And a lot of women today aren't even aware of the importance of what they're looking for in a man. They just don't have the picture of what it looks like, particularly if you've been in a relationship that didn't work.
Yes, that's so
So,
true.
there's two aspects of moving on. You say, how do you heal your heart?
Mm.
Well, I don't think I could have healed my heart with Bonnie had I not known all of the ways we unknowingly, not knowingly hurt our partners. We can
Yeah.
always say, feel sorry, I will try and do better next time. And that's important to do. But it's the ways we unknowingly sabotage our relationships, the ways we unknowingly hurt or cause pain or shut down our partners. We just don't know because nobody's taught us about gender intelligence. For example, if a woman has a job, that job making money, feeling responsible, she will be producing a lot of testosterone. Now, women need to make testosterone, but if she's producing testosterone all day and not producing estrogen, and estrogen is not produced when you're trying to make money. Okay, that's risk. That's risk and danger. That's a goal orientation. That's decisiveness, making choices based upon outcomes that are significant. That would be your male side, and we know that to be the case. When a little bit of danger actually raises testosterone in both men and women, just a little bit. If a huge amount of danger doesn't, but a little bit of testosterone raises a little bit of danger, raises testosterone in men, it raises testosterone in women. But while her testosterone is going up, her estrogen goes down. Now, what is estrogen? What produces estrogen? It's relationship. It's relationship where a woman feels I can depend on someone to give me something that I need. So the crux of this thing is, what does a woman need if she's making money? What does she need a man for?
Mm.
There's a certain foundation when a woman is dependent on men financially and he respects her. Now, there's a place where a woman depend on men financially, he doesn't respect her. That's a dysfunctional relationship where where if I was to analyze it from the woman's point of view, she didn't know how to ask for help. She didn't know the way she would sabotage her partner, anger her partner. And of course, I would say to the man, getting angry itself will shut down a woman. So,
Yes.
but everything has two sides to it, two sticks
Mm.
that create conflict. I teach men, if you don't raise your voice ever to a woman. It's the more enlightened version of never hit a woman. Okay, when I was growing up, a man who hit women, you would just be looked down upon by other men. You were just no dignity at all. I was just talking with somebody the other day at my weekend class. And he was talking about we were talking about men in prison and so forth and being hyper masculine. He called them hyper masculine, who they become outraged, they become furious and dominant. And I said, that's not hyper masculine. We have a whole confusion about male and
Yes.
female. When a man is trying to dominate, when a man is angry, when a man is overly controlling, as opposed to respectful for a win-win situation, if you measure his hormones at that time, his estrogen is low, and his testosterone is low, and his estrogen is high. His female hormones are surging. You see these gang members doing dysfunctional, mean, cruel things. Well, they're absent fathers. They have no masculinity. They have no testosterone. They don't know who they are. So what happens is their estrogen levels go up when they feel insecure. Their insecurity raises estrogen and makes them angry.
Right.
So see, this is the opposite. What everything I teach is the opposite of what people think. That's why everything's going down the drain and
Yes.
to move forward. But the common knowledge is that testosterone causes anger. And part of that is just simply if you give a man testosterone, because he's already got low testosterone, right? So he has low testosterone, and you give him testosterone, he'll have road rage. That's because, and he'll eventually get man boobs because when you give a man testosterone, it has to be just the exact amount. And if he's giving too much, it converts in immediately through a hormone, through an enzyme called aromatase. It will just shoot over into estrogen. So all that extra testosterone shoots into estrogen, and now he's throwing a fit. He's angry. So a woman might think, gee, I can't trust men, but and if you can't trust men, but you thought he was the one, and now you can't trust yourself. You see, not just not trusting men, is can I trust myself? what this knowledge of how men and women are different allows you to trust yourself and put yourself in the driver's seat again, at least when it comes to relationships, because you realize how you also sabotage the relationship, not just him. It's always easy to pick apart our partners.
That's so true. It's a
One of
two-way.
the examples of that is, let's say you're having an argument with a man and he's raising his voice. As soon as he raises his voice, you have to have a safe word to stop the conversation, and you have to stop it. Because what will happen is, and women are the best interviewers, and they will start asking questions. Well, why would you do that? Well, why did you say that? Why did this? Because of this. Well, why did you do that? You forgot this. They'll start asking questions, motivating him to speak. When a man is starting to feel any kind of upset and he speaks, he will just become more upset. We're not designed to talk when we're upset. And then this is the fault of psychology today. This is a 50, 60-year-old going downhill from traditional wisdom that's known throughout the ages, is that when men get upset, they stop talking. Don't talk. You see, it's all in my book, Men Are From Mars. Don't talk. Because if you talk when you're upset, talking when you have emotions makes the emotions go stronger. Now, if you're having loving emotions, talk all day. See, if you're not having any negative emotions, sure, it's fine to talk. But if you have negative emotions in your body, for a man, already, if it's negative, it means his estrogen's too high. Anytime a man has negative emotions, his estrogen's too high. Anytime a woman has negative emotions, her estrogen's too low. And what she'll want to do is talk about it, which is why women are notorious. If you ask men, what about their wives? They'll say, oh, she complains all the time. Complain. That's because when she has negative emotions, her estrogen is low. So if she can talk about it, she will feel better. Because when women's estrogen goes up, their cortisol, their stress hormone goes down. But when men talk about their feelings, their negative emotions, if they talk about negative emotions or try to solve a problem or resolve something and he's frustrated with you or angry with you or feeling defensive, argumentative, as soon as the man gets argumentative, he needs to stop talking. It's a timeout. He needs to now go do something that will raise his testosterone back up. And then he's quick to come out. But I'll tell you, being a man, I mean, I understand all this. I'm a man. I know man's biology. And if a man, the more words he speaks when he's angry, the longer it's going to take him if he stops talking, goes away. It's going to take longer, the more words he spoke, to open his heart again.
Right.
It's a matter of timing. It's just like as soon as I start to feel anything, I will not talk. And this is hard for women to understand, because what happens is that when men are feeling frustrated, the beginning of stress, when their adrenaline levels start to go up, maybe she's talking and it's he feels maybe she's complaining about him or she's not appreciating him, or it could just be, gee, she has a problem. I don't know what I'm supposed to do. What am I supposed to do? He's not going over to the left part of his brain, the analytical part of his brain. But if he has some little annoyance going on or just some stress from the day, has nothing to do with her, but he's feeling frustrated and, I'm worried about, is this check going to go through or is that going to happen? A little anxiousness. He should not talk to his partner about that. So he'll become quiet and she'll go, oh, she'll misinterprets, because see, when women are upset, they're going to talk to their partner. And if they don't talk to their partner, it means they don't trust their partner. That's what it means. Or it means they're angry with their partner.
Yeah.
It means they don't believe he'll hear you in a way that's helpful. But usually, and if they're angry, they actually sometimes think they're punishing you by not talking. I'm just going to withhold. But see, men, we don't punish by not talking. We're just not talking because it's not a healthy thing for us to do. We're mulling it over. It's a quiet process. It's an automatic process of just sort of reflecting, not sure. And it's unspoken in the same way that a woman can have a problem. And if she can talk about it for a little while, she has a different perspective. Yeah. See, talking out loud. So she's kind of like working through it out loud. Men work through things quietly, and unless they're interrupted. And if they're interrupted, and if she doesn't understand gender intelligence, if she doesn't understand men process differently, they mull it over, they don't talk. And so she's panicking because she doesn't feel connection. Women notice when he pulls into himself, She feels disconnected. Then she thinks when there's disconnection, it's only because he must be angry or doesn't trust her, has nothing about that. In order to rebuild testosterone for a man, he has to disconnect from connection. Okay, he has to disconnect. Yes. He needs his cave time. That's a big idea in Men Are From Mars, or he just needs to think about it. And so what a woman will feel that distance, and she'll panic because she doesn't understand men. And now she wants to know, what are you feeling? What's going on inside? So what you can, she freaks. She doesn't understand. So she does need reassurance. All she has to do to get the reassurance, she needs that everything's okay. He's not mad at you. He's not punishing you. He's not thinking of somebody else. He's not preparing to leave like women do. So he's not that at all. He's just not thinking and mulling it over. And you might think, how could this be true? How could this be true? Well, Harvard University proved it. They have women sit down, put electrodes on their head, and they said, just relax and don't speak. And what happens is women's brain becomes busier and busier. The electrodes are firing off everywhere. And if you ask her what she's thinking, she'll say, I'm thinking about all the things I should be doing that I'm not doing while I'm sitting here in this study. That's her brain's always, monkey brain, just taking off. You ask the men what you say, just sit down and don't talk, just relax. And the man will slow down. His brain almost stops. Certain parts of the brain turn off completely. And you can ask him, what are you thinking? He'll say, nothing. That's what men can do that women can't do so easily, or maybe they can't do it at all. But what women, and where does that come from? Well, we got this Y chromosome that produces genes that override the part of us that continues thinking about things 24 hours a day. See, women are designed to never turn off the brain, because if you have a baby, you have to be on all the time. But men, that gets overridden in men, so that men can rebuild their energy, which is necessary because they're born with more muscle mass, and muscle mass uses up energy more significantly. It also uses up the amino acids necessary to make dopamine in the brain. So at the end of the day, a guy's brain stops. He has no dopamine. Dopamine is the motivation. His muscles literally use up the amino acids. Well, women don't have that much muscle mass as men, and therefore what women's dopamine levels are still high when she comes home from work. Dopamine says, busy, busy, busy. I have to do this. I have to do this. I have to do this. So, and because a woman will experience more stress in the workplace than a man does. Now let's look at that study. That study shows that women in the workplace have double the stress levels that men on average. And when women come home from a day at work into the nurturing environment of home, their stress levels double instead of going down. Again, so it's and men's goes down when they come home, because a man can shut off the brain if he has still those genes working. Now, if he's told you can't do that, something's wrong with you, you're not a loving man, you're a disappointment to your wife, that environmental input can shut down a man's ability to stop thinking. And, the whole Eastern idea of meditation, the Buddha, et cetera, that's what he taught. Learn to stop thinking. Learn to forget all your problems. Close your eyes to the world and forget your problems and relax. Well, see, men are designed to do that. It's a man teaching that. When I'm in India, I've been in India many years. I've gone to India and China. These ancient techniques are primarily taught to men to strengthen that ability, because if a boy doesn't have a father figure, his male hormones become weak, and he bonds to his mother. He doesn't have that ability so much. So the practice of meditation is to learn to focus your mind and forget other things. If a woman tries to do that, she's just straining, which is quite funny, because all of the resorts, they always show I was just watching they always show the beautiful woman sitting peacefully meditating. She's not peaceful. She's busy thinking about but it's a woman's fantasy, the imagination. I can do it. But having said that, on a vacation, if it's possible, or when it's possible, and certainly for some women it is, because now women are more on their male side. See, they strengthen the male side. And so then she has more of that ability to focus on one thing. But it happens most easily for her on a vacation, because on a vacation, you go to a hotel where somebody makes the bed for you, somebody cleans your room for you, somebody prepares dinner for you, someone is thinking about you, all of that for you. that stimulates estrogen. That's why vacations are always romantic foreplay, because it raises a woman's estrogen, because women cannot have romantic feelings unless they're in a fantasy world, which won't last and always end in disappointment. You know, you meet a man, you think he's perfect, you're in a fantasy world, your life's going to be wonderful, you have sex, and he never calls you back because it's fantasy. But a vacation, which is reality, where somebody actually is caring for you and doing things for you, and you're anticipating that, your estrogen levels will go very high. And when your estrogen levels go very high, then you can also have your testosterone levels go high. So meditation can actually be very effective for women. I
Right.
think, there's a lot of different approaches, but always from the female side. If you look at these ancient cultures, they taught women to dance. Dancing was a
Yes.
cute thing,
Yeah.
making music,
Mm-hmm.
dancing,
Absolutely.
mothering, gardening. These are all creative expressions or routine expressions. Routine activities can also, they're not stressful, and therefore they're predictable. Predictableness produces oxytocin. That's a hormone which makes safe. I'm safe. I know what's going to happen next. And then in that context, if I know what's going to happen next, I can then depend on circumstances, but I can also depend on my partner to be a certain way. That's what really raises the estrogen up. You go to a doctor, you're depending on them. My message is very, very popular. The most popular place in the world is the Middle East. Ironically, people say, "What? The Middle East?" I said, "No, the women are all running the government over there, and they're suddenly they're bringing women into the business, and they realize the women are highly stressed to do this, and so they've read in my books that they need to have coaches. If a woman has a coach, she can talk about her feelings, talk about her frustrations, talk about her disappointments, talk about what she wants, what she doesn't want. Having someone hear her who's not involved in the company. See,
Yes.
if you go to HR and complain, you're just you're increasing your stress.
Yes. Yeah.
You're going to your male side, and it creates huge havoc. HR is, in my
Yeah. Oh,
opinion,
yeah.
disastrous. Suddenly I'm going to go complain to them, just like you're going to go complain to your husband. When you complain, you're sharing negativity with intent to change something. When you talk to a coach, you're not trying to change the coach. When you talk to a therapist, you're not trying to change them. So when you're not trying to use your negative emotions that you're talking about, your feelings, your complaints, whatever, but you're doing it to someone who is, you're not trying to influence them. You're just becoming aware of them,
Yeah.
because that's the magic of healing. So I'll move on to that question you asked, which is, how do you heal broken heart? It's another whole, big book. This is one to understand intellectually that, oh, if I'd only known this, these problems would not have been there. If I'd only known this, these problems would not have been there. That already gives you more confidence of moving on to another relationship. But the other side of it is literally, that's the mind. The mind moves at light speed. The heart, the healing, the heart goes like the speed of sound, which is much slower than
Okay.
light. You can see a plane shoot by, but you'll hear that sound later. Okay, literally, it's a huge difference. In my house, I have the bay across the San Francisco Bay, and you see the fireworks come up, and then later you hear a boom. So the sound is much slower. And this is like amazing reality. So once your mind is set to realize that, one, I have a good reason to start dating again, not to find the perfect person, but to start trying out these new skills. I have new skills because I realize mistakes I've made in the past. I've been too masculine, or I've complained too much. The opposite of complaining doesn't mean that you're passive. It means you ask for help. Learn how to ask. That's really what a complaint is, but done very, very poorly. And so there's a whole chapter on how to ask to get what you want, rather than just keep complaining. If somebody steps on your foot, you have to tell them not to do it. You can do it like, you keep stepping on my foot, it hurts. Well, that's just going to build defensiveness. Well, move your foot, he'll say. Or what's the big deal? Or he'll minimize it. Men are incredibly defensive, and you want a defensive man who will protect you, not some guy who just says yes to everybody. So that's one aspect. But so you don't want to set a man up to be defensive. What you want is to, how do you communicate? You just stepped on my foot. You just say, "Oh, honey, sometimes you step on my foot. It's not such a big deal, but it hurts a little." Just minimize it. The more you I prefer you not. Okay. I prefer you stay away. Now, people then say, well, what if it is a big deal? Tell me what's a big deal. You have infidelity, you have drug addiction. And if you have either of those two things, you can't solve the problem. You have to go to an expert. That's it. You have infidelity, don't think you can solve that problem. If you have a drug problem, somebody's addicted to drugs, you can't solve that.
Yeah.
Either you leave or you separate or you start seeing a therapist. You're incapable of solving those problems alone. Therefore, all the rest of the problems is not a big deal. I remember one of my friends wrote the book, Don't Sweat the Small Stuff, parentheses, and it's all small stuff.
Yeah.
As a counselor for 50 years, it's all small stuff. And even when it comes to, infidelity and drug addiction, basically you can still learn. There's a way you can approach that, but you need a little more professional help, I think. But the point is, it's not handling the little stuff that leads people to the big stuff, unless they already had the big stuff when you married them. Because marriage can drive people just to the worst place if you don't understand how to deal with the little stuff. He's late, she's complaining, she's nagging. There's solutions to this. He doesn't listen to me anymore. He's not attracted to me anymore. He's actually never in the mood for sex. This is all little stuff. We have easy solutions for this stuff. If we start learning gender intelligence, what turns a man on, what turns a woman on. And I'll tell you what turns a man on very simply, when he can turn on a woman. When a man knows how to turn on a woman, he gets turned on. Same thing that happens is when a man produces this hormone I talked about in the beginning called prolactin. If he has sex with his wife, after sex, his body makes prolactin. Prolactin is nature's monogamy gift. It's nature's longevity gift. It wants to keep you alive to raise your children. It wants to keep you at home to raise your children. It causes men not to be interested in sex with other people. Mm-hmm. This is an amazing thing. This is a hormone that literally turns off a man's desire to have sex with other women. Because prior to that hormone, men are born with the desire to have as much sex as possible until you find that woman. Then when you find that woman, you make a commitment. It's the commitment to her, which was the wisdom in the past where people would have signed contracts, marriage ceremony. When a man is truly committed, through thick and thin, this is what it's about. That's what produces huge safety for a woman, keeps her estrogen levels higher. And so if a man's not making prolactin, a woman's body knows I can't trust him.
Yeah.
And all a man has to do when he's not with his wife is just go and do porn and his prolactin levels start over. Mm. Basically, it builds up over time. So as a man's prolactin levels build up, it's sending a message through smell. This is all communicated through pheromones that she's the only one. And when she's the only one, she feels safe. And when women feel safe, then they can open a doorway to depend on their partner. When they can depend on their partner, their estrogen levels rise. They double. To experience romantic feelings, a woman has to have her estrogen, normal, happy estrogen, has to double. Mm-hmm. There's one of the things I teach men is the power of doing little things. It's too many of the biohacks. I can do it in an hour, but with my wife, for example, she's very happy to say, anytime there's something little, ask her to ask me to do it. So that breaks the pattern. See, women are living in a pattern in the modern world. They're so stressed. Yes. When a woman is stressed, her mind is filled with, I have to, I have to, I have to, I have to. Anytime you have to, I have to, I have to, you're not making estrogen. I don't have to is estrogen. I have someone to do it for me. This whole misleading thing of women empowerment, look what you can do. That's good. But the real empowerment of women is learning how you don't have to do so much. Women can say, I can do everything, but wouldn't it be great if you didn't have to? You could do what you choose to do. Absolutely. And that was how it started out, which is, women want to feel free to go over and be on their male side. That was all great. And now they're stuck on their male side. It's very hard to come back into balance to their female sides. That's what we're learning here. Is starting again is a great opportunity, since you asked me that question. But the dynamic here is, I was going to make a little point, which is recently my wife was out of town for quite a while and she's going through doing a lot of business stuff. And when she's doing a lot of business stuff, she's on her male side. And then when she came back, she felt like she did the normal things where she'd ask me to do the little stuff. And she said, honey, would you get me some water? And I get up, I go out and get her some nice warm water from the kitchen. And I come back. It's like an act of love, little acts of love. Men don't realize those little things have a big impact on estrogen. And she told me, she went, wow, Normally, I feel so happy when you do those little things for me. I didn't feel anything. Didn't
Oh,
feel anything. It was like, I don't care about a little glass of water. I just care about paying the bills. Okay. So see, it took her over. So
yeah.
all it took was one day of my having her talk about all her frustrations, her disappointments at work, her concerns and worries and fears. When women can talk about their feelings that are not about the man, not blaming the man, not trying to change the man, but other things, their estrogen levels go back up. She comes back to her female side. Then the next time I got her water, she went, "Oh, good. Now I feel so happy." It made me joyful to feel my husband doing something for me. So, it's a little perplexing because I tell men do little things for women, but if women are way on their male side, it means nothing. She becomes like a man because
Yes.
women do little things for me. That's nice, but that's not what's going to turn me on. What's going to turn me on is my wife is happy and wants to uh, make love with me. I know that I can make love her at the right time and place, not all the time, of course. So this is underestimated, is a woman's availability to make love and her ability to enjoy making love is the biggest testosterone producer in a man's life. And in the beginning, women feel that way because they have so much estrogen, because they have newness. But when the
Yes.
newness goes away, the estrogen goes down. And then when prolactin comes in, prolactin will inhibit not only his desire for other women, but it will inhibit his desire for sex altogether. That's why married men stop having sex. Men over 40, they're taking Viagra. What's all that about? It's because we've lost polarity. What happens is when you have prolactin, you won't be interested in other women. And you won't be interested in your wife unless your wife is more feminine than you are. If she's has more estrogen and you have more testosterone, there's a message that goes through scent, through pheromones that turns her on, and him being able to turn her on turns him on. So it's a mutual thing. So it's as simple as biology. So
Yeah.
what we can learn these things, and what are the biohacks to help? And that's why they can come to you to learn. What are the ways a woman can ask a man to do things? What are the things a man can do to help a woman raise her estrogen? How can a woman raise a man's testosterone? How can she realize the many, many ways she has sabotaged just by not asking for help?
Yeah.
Doing everything yourself is going to shut a man down to you. You can't have sexual attraction over time. So this is a couple, women can hugely benefit from being able to talk to a coach and then double that, triple that, quadruple that if it's a coach that has gender intelligence. Because
Absolutely. It makes a huge difference to have a coach or to have a therapist, somebody who can just listen without judgment, but with
yep,
compassion and help help us to open our heart, and that's very valuable, extremely powerful. Yeah.
it's not just opening it's not one aspect of it is someone who understands what you're going through, but also has to be someone who understands what the other person was going through and why they were doing that and what they needed and what they were missing and how you were contributing to that. You have to have understanding on both sides. Let
Yes.
me give you an example of that. When I was younger, not anymore. I'm very
Okay.
compassionate all the time now. But when I was a younger man, I'm driving my car and I like to drive faster than most people. And so I'm in the fast lane. And then somebody's in the fast lane holding it up. And so I have to go around them, a little frustrated. They're slowing me down. Why are they driving so slow? It's the fast lane, right? So I'm going by them, but I always want to look back at them. You always want to look, who is that person? Give them the evil eye in a sense. But the purpose of looking back when you go a little deeper is to seek to understand why they did that.
Why?
And as I grew as a mature adult, I can look at that person and immediately know why they're going slow. Either they're from another country, either they're nervous, it's a new car, it's a young
Yes.
person, they just got their license, they're living in a different time zone. So as soon as you understand, the tension goes away. So not only does a woman need to be understood, but she needs to understand what's happening with men. And same way, a man, his tension goes away when he begins to understand not just his point of view, but her point of view. So it's both sides. And if you don't have a coach or a therapist or counselor who doesn't understand gender intelligence, they're just going to make the other person wrong. And
Yeah.
that just reinforces that you're a victim and you'll never get what you want.
Absolutely.
So,
Yeah.
so yay for the Mars Venus coaches.
Yes, thank you. I think it's been an amazing journey being a coach. It has changed the lives my life and the life of so many of the clients. I tell you, when I talk to them and they say now they've got this understanding, which is extremely powerful, for them, and how the books that you've written have changed their life. Because every person that I've met who said they've read your books, they said this has tremendously helped them in their relationships, whether it's their job, whether it's their partner, whether it's with their family, it has, and their relationship with themselves, because the greatest relationship we have is with ourselves first. So thank you for all the great job, all the work that you've done, the books that you've written, the message you are sharing to the world, and the coaches that you've helped around the world. John, I'm very grateful to be part of that community and to.
And I want to just say to people, reading my books for many people is enough. But if it's not enough, you need a little help to
Yes.
apply the ideas. I mean, there's so many different ways to apply the ideas. If you tried something, you said, yes, but, that means you need to talk to somebody who says, yes, but, and let me help explain that for you so you can apply it. Because people will be going on, yes, yes, oh, but yes, but it won't work for me. And that's sometimes is the case. And that's where you have a expert Mars Venus coach in order to, well, let's understand it a little differently so that you can apply it. And that's very important.
Yes. And how can people reach out to your website and get more information about every great thing that you do, John, with your
platforms? So we have it at marsvenus.com is one thing. Coming up in a few days, I'll be doing, starting August 15th, I'm doing a 6-week program online.
Okay.
They'll find out that about marsvenus.com. Also, you could go to Instagram Soul Search. That's another group that is putting on this 6-week course where I give some presentation and then I answer people's questions. See, that's the unique thing about a course. Then there's so many wonderful blogs at our website, and there's amazing courses that are really beautifully done. One of the best is done by my daughter.
Yes.
We developed it together. It's called Understanding Men. Another, our most popular, is called Secrets of Great Sex. I'm teaching that. And what they are is they're talks, but then there's exercises, there's summaries, there's applications, there's frequently asked questions. So it's really laid out beautifully for people and playful. They're very funny too. I think the greatest joy for me was writing the quizzes. They're very playful. And I think people do love them. So that's all available at marsvenus.com. We're talking about the biohacks. They're in this book here, this biohack. And it wasn't until recently that I'm probably going to have to write another book, more of these biohacks that I'm learning. Yes. But which means things I can do to raise estrogen in a woman, what women can do to raise testosterone in a man, what I can do for myself. And it turns out that belly fat is one of the number one things that reduces testosterone in men. This is a fact. What in a man, when as he gets older, his testosterone levels start declining, or if they decline, they don't have to. I'm 50% higher than when I was a young man because I apply these hacks in my relationship. But if you see these guys, they get older, they get these bellies.
Yes.
What the function of that belly is estrogen stores fat. That's why right before you're most fertile, estrogen goes to the highest level, so you have more fat to create the baby as fuel for the baby, and then it starts to go away. Well, that fat, estrogen, high estrogen that men start getting is going to store fat on the body, and then once it's stored in the body, that fat produces more estrogen. And so you're just descending with testosterone. So learning how to get rid of belly fat is now a new biohack. And if people want to understand how to do that, they can ask questions I don't yet have a program for it online, but it's at the bottom of the page, you can say contact us. Okay. For women, it's the same thing, is that for women to produce estrogen, they need to be able to feel the emotions in order to generate the estrogen. Just feeling doesn't do it. You have to feel the emotions, deep feeling. A lot of women, when you're on your male side, you can't actually feel the depth of your emotions. Yeah. Belly fat is a function in women to suppress emotions. Mm-hmm. Okay, if you have belly fat, you can push down emotions. It's a way women sort of do therapy on themselves, is just gain weight. And you'll see that if you have trauma that you're carrying from childhood, usually you'll gain a lot of weight.
Yes.
Just to push those feelings down. Mm-hmm. And if you really want to get the gusto, learn how to process your emotions that I teach in my books, what you do with your clients, helping women to express the frustrations, the anger, the sadness,
Yeah.
disappointments, the fears, the concerns, the work, learning how to go through those emotions and let them go and find the love that's behind it. Well, it's very hard to do if you've got a lot of belly fat. So once again, this very new system that I'm talking about. I don't have a video on it, but people can contact us. It's very short. I'll just put it as what a scientist discovered, and it's peer-reviewed study, is that people can basically double the protein that they eat in the day with a specific type of whey protein, which has enzymes added to it, 5 different enzymes. This was a Nobel Prize, which is these 5 enzymes that will break down protein into amino acids 10 times more efficiently than your stomach. Okay, so if you eat a normal shake, you'll get maybe 15% of the amino acids out of the protein. If you incubate the protein by putting it in hot water with the enzymes, with the protein, now you're going to get 91% of the amino acids.
Wow.
So this is a huge breakthrough, because normally it's not healthy to eat that much protein. But if it's incubated protein, then you can have 160 grams of protein a day. And as a result, and eat as much as you want. Basically, you can have a meal, 2 meals. You won't be that hungry, but you will lose weight and build muscle mass. There's never been a diet before in history where you can eat more and actually grow muscle mass and lose fat, and restore blood sugar, balance cholesterol. All the good things of being healthy can come. And so within a month doing this program, I lost 2 inches right around the belly.
Wow.
So if you put this thing around the belly, when your belly's relaxed and sort of sitting out, to lose 2 inches there in a month was shocking. And I did it because when you get up to 40 inches, you're at risk for heart disease. And some people are at 50. I mean, they're really at risk. Even during the COVID thing, the number one thing that made people get sick was obesity. Okay, if they're obese. Now, I've seen people lose 100 pounds. They just have to do this program for 6 months or something, But for me, just had to do it a month, and now I'm back to my flat belly, my pants. I have to get pants because they're falling off of me. It's so much fun to be in your 70s and be able to effortlessly eat more, feel no hunger. And it's a little bit more complicated than what I was just saying, but this is the outcome. It's peer reviewed. It's Dr. Arciero who did this program, and I'm developing coaches to be able to teach this as well. In the meantime, I'm working on a video. But if anybody's interested, they can contact me about losing belly fat. We have programs in England as well, so they can just go to marsvenus.com and learn more about it.
That is super exciting to know that, because I think that will help a lot of people get healthier, because...
Oh, it's the number one health crisis.
Absolutely. I think that's really, really exciting what you are doing. And yes.
And nobody understood before how gaining weight also affects your hormones.
Absolutely.
And by losing belly fat, how your estrogen levels go up for a woman, your testosterone levels go up, your libido is returned, romance is returned. And then when there's romance, then there's more prolactin. Prolactin makes you live longer. This is an amazing program we have now.
That is wonderful, John. John, it's been a pleasure talking to you. I won't keep you any longer. I know you've got other things to do. I'm very, very appreciative of the time that you've spent with us, with the audience, and with me. And I would say thank you so much. And I wish you a lot of success. And I look forward to talking to you in another episode. Thank you. Thank you so much, John.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Bye. Bye-bye.
Yeah.